Hi, I'm Kurt Stonecker, Technical Trainer and Coordinator for IT Services here at Western Colorado University. Today, we're going to talk about an important aspect of PDF documents that most people and organizations tend to neglect: accessibility. Identifying and correcting accessibility issues makes it easier for those using screen readers, text-to-speech software, braille displays, and other assistive technology to better utilize PDF documents. In addition, it helps us from running afoul of anti-discrimination laws such as the Rehabilitation Act of 1973, as such issues have precipitated lengthy lawsuits and substantial fines in Western's past. Now that we know a little bit more about why making PDFs accessible is important, let's take a look at how to make PDFs accessible. In order to check for and correct accessibility issues in a PDF file, you'll first need access to Adobe Acrobat DC, the newest iteration of Acrobat Pro. It looks like this in the Start menu. Once you have Acrobat DC fired up, go ahead and open the file you'd like to work with. If you don't already see the accessibility tool in the toolbar on the right-hand side of the window, we'll need to add it. If you don't see a toolbar on the right side of the screen, or it doesn't look like this, it may simply be collapsed. You can either tap the arrow here, or use the hotkey Shift+F. If the accessibility tool isn't present, you'll want to click on the Tools tab. This brings up an entire page of tools you can add to the toolbar on the right-hand side of the screen. Scroll down till you find the accessibility tool and click Add in the drop-down menu under the tool. Please note, if the only option under the tool is Open, then the accessibility tool has already been added to your toolbar. With the accessibility tool successfully added to your toolbar, you should not have to repeat this process unless it's inadvertently reset by a future update to the program. Now we'll take a look at how to properly use this tool. Clicking on the accessibility tool in the toolbar on the right-hand side of the screen will bring up this contextual menu. Some of the options may be unavailable or grayed out, but let's focus on the accessibility check here. Left-clicking on the accessibility check will bring up the following menu. This menu gives us some basic information, such as where the accessibility report will be saved should you have need of it later. What page range will be checked? It's best to leave this on the All Pages of the Document option. What category of document you want to check? It's generally just fine to leave this setting on Document. There are others, but for now, let's leave all the boxes checked, especially at the bottom. You definitely want to view this window every time you open the accessibility checker. Once you have the appropriate options selected, go ahead and start the check by clicking on the Start Checking button. Depending on the length of your document, the checker should only take a few moments to complete, at which point you'll see the report on the left-hand side of the screen. As you can see, any accessibility issues in a given category are noted in bold, along with the number of issues the checker detected. Let's go through some of the issues you'll likely encounter and how to reconcile those issues so your PDF document meets accessibility standards. No matter what, anytime you run the accessibility checker, two issues will always come up: logical reading order and color contrast. These two issues will always be flagged since there is no way to fix them automatically. You will always have to check and resolve these two issues manually. First, we'll go over color contrast. However, we'll tackle reading order last since other changes we'll make during this process may affect the reading order. Color contrast. There is a minimum color contrast standard that must be met to ensure content isn't too difficult for viewers with visual impairments. All text in your PDF document must pass color contrast criteria for text to background. The two criteria are a 3:1 contrast ratio for large text and a 4.5:1 contrast ratio for normal text. In these criteria, large text is defined as 18-point or larger regular font or 14-point or larger bold font. Normal text is defined as everything that doesn't meet the criteria for large text, as we just discussed. It's easiest to check proper contrast with an online color contrast checker like the one found here at accessibleweb.com/color-contrast-checker. Here you can input the RGB values of both your text and the background to find the resulting contrast ratio. As an aside, we're looking for elements that pass level AA of the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, WCAG for short. This process, as with some others we'll look at in this video, can be a little tricky when first working with them, so don't hesitate to reach out to IT services by creating a work order. We're here to help. Obviously, if your contrast ratio does not meet the standards we discussed earlier, you'll need to make changes to your document before continuing. Once your document meets or exceeds the contrast criteria, go ahead and right-click on the issue and select Pass. Headings. A common failed element in PDFs is the headings check. In the accessibility checker, we see that there is an issue with the headings in this document. If we expand this section, we can see that appropriate nesting is the issue. We can also see there are 3 elements contributing to the appropriate nesting problem. Right-click on the first element and select Show in Tags panel. In the Tags panel, we can see that this heading, also highlighted in the main document, is tagged H2. This is incorrect. Headings in a document need to be tagged in order, H1, H2, H3, and so on. Where we see the most failures is that the first heading is not tagged H1. In this example, there are several headings which are mislabeled. The first heading is labeled H2, so we need to change it and make sure subsequent headings are tagged in order. You can change the tag type in Elements quickly by right-clicking on the tag to open the context menu and selecting Properties. Make sure you are on the Tags tab and use this Type drop-down menu to select the proper heading level. Again, headings need to be in order with no skipping numbers. After fixing the headings, they should look like this. We can now see that heading 1 comes first, followed by heading level 2, 3, and so on. You can now run the accessibility checker again. You'll find that the appropriate nesting in the heading category passes the check. Images. If the accessibility checker shows failures in Figures Alternate Text, you can expand the list and left-click on one of the figures to bring it up in the main panel. Figures need to be marked as artifacts if they are just decorative images, or if the image is immediately followed by text that describes it. If those images aren't decorative, then you'll need to add a text alternative describing the contents of the image. To accomplish this, right-click on the failure in the accessibility check and select Fix from the context menu. This will bring up a window where you can either check the decorative figure box, which denotes the image as an artifact, or you can add alternate text describing in detail the image and its significance. If more than one image is flagged by the accessibility checker, you can use the arrows in the window to navigate back and forth between those flagged images in order to fix them. When the image is too complex, you may need to provide an external link to text that describes the image or values in a particular chart. If your document contains charts or images of this nature, it's best to contact IT services for more guidance, as such issues are more advanced than the scope of this video. Once all the images have been taken care of, left-click on the Save and Close button here. You can now see that the status of Figures Alternate Text has been changed from failed to passed. Navigation links. When linking to outside sources or web pages from a PDF document, you shouldn't label links going to different places with the same title. A couple examples would be Click Here or Read More. This may confuse those utilizing screen readers to navigate the PDF. Instead, change these links to give more information about where the link goes. Instead of typing Read More, you should type Read More about our business program, and so on. Lists. Let's take a look at one of the more tricky aspects of making a PDF accessible, properly tagging lists. A list in its entirety is labeled L for list. A list is divided into list items, or LI. A list item encompasses one bullet, be that a dot or a number, and the text corresponding to that bullet. List items are then broken down and tagged further with LBL and LBody tags. An LBL tag denotes the bullet of the list item, and the LBody tag represents the body of the list item. Now that we know what elements go into a list, let's take a look at how to set up our tags. To start a list, you'll first need to make sure each individual piece of the list, as we discussed earlier, is tagged as text. This can be tedious, but is necessary. You'll need to bring up the Touch-Up Reading Order tool first. This can be done with the key command Shift plus Control plus U on Windows or Shift plus Command plus U on Macs. Now you'll need to draw a square around each piece of the list. Start with the first bullet. Once you have a rectangle around the bullet, choose Text/Paragraph from the touch-up menu. Now draw a rectangle around the body of the first list item, and again click the Text/Paragraph button. Repeat this process for every list item, making sure to go in order. As you can see in the Tags panel, we now have 6 pieces of text marked. You can make sure they're all in order by clicking through them. Next, we need to create a list tag. To do this, right-click on the tag directly preceding the list, in this case H1, and select New Tag. From the drop-down menu, select List. You'll now see a list tag under the heading 1 tag. This is where everything in the list will be nested. Now we need to create 3 list items. Remember, a list item is composed of a bullet and the text following it. To do this, right-click on the list tag and select New Tag from the pop-out menu. This time, select List Item. Repeat this process until you have a list item tag for each corresponding list item. In this case, we need 3 tags. It's now a good time to nest the text we tagged earlier into the proper list items. Now we need to break each list item down into its label or bullet and body. So right-click on the list item and select New Tag. From the list, select Label. Then repeat this process and select List Item Body. Repeat this process for all the list items until your tags list looks like this. Finally, you can nest the proper text under the label tag, this would be for the bullet, and the L body tag for the body of the list item. Once this process is complete, your tags list should look like this. Tables. Tables are generally pretty simple to tag. First, navigate to the table in your document, and then open the Touch-Up Reading Order tool with Shift plus Control plus U for Windows, or Shift plus Command plus U for Macs. Now draw a rectangle around the table, and you should get the option on the Touch-Up Reading Order tool to tag the table as a table. Primary language. This may be the quickest fix in this video. Right-click the primary language failure and select Fix from the context menu. Then, simply select the primary language of the PDF document in the drop-down menu and select OK. Title. Fixing a failed title is also simple. Right-click on the failed title and left-click on Fix in the context menu. You'll then get this pop-up menu. In those blank sections, you'll want to make sure the checkbox for Leave As is not checked. This will open each section for edits. Give your document a title and subject. You may want to add an author and a few keywords related to the subject matter as well, though it's not necessary to fill out these fields to fix the title issue. Once you're happy with the title and description fields, you can click OK. Your PDF should now pass the title check. Logical reading order. It's best to check the logical reading order after you've taken care of most of the found issues in the accessibility report, as many of the other issues may affect this step. This is another issue that must be addressed manually. In order to check the reading order, first open the Tags panel. Left-click on the first tag in the list. You will be able to see this tag in the document window to the right, here. Press the down arrow and you should see the next element highlighted. The logical reading order of most documents is going to be left to right from the top of the document to the bottom. Continue tapping the down arrow and make sure the boxes highlighted are in the logical reading order. If you have a tag that is out of order, you can left-click that tag and drag it to its proper position. You may find paragraphs or other elements that have no tag at all. To fix this, you can bring up the Touch-Up Reading Order tool, Shift plus Control plus U on Windows, and Shift plus Command plus U on Macs. Once the tool is open, you can draw a rectangle around the untagged element, then select the tag for this element in the pop-out window. Once you've made sure all the elements of the PDF are tagged and in the proper order, you can right-click on Logical Reading Order in the report window and select Pass. This concludes our training session on common issues you'll see when ensuring your PDF passes the accessibility check. We here in IT understand the process of making PDFs accessible can be tricky, and along with those aspects discussed in this video, other issues may crop up. Feel free to submit a work order, and we'll be happy to assist you with any problems or questions you have. For IT Services, I'm Kurt Stonecker, and thanks for watching.